This presenter that is going to be looking at you and you're going to be looking at this session is Shane Flanagan from Mr. Yum. And as staffing and data become more important, ordering apps like Mr. Yum become more and more important, but I won't tell you any more about it. I'll hand over to Shane to tell you all about Mr. Yum.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for coming down, guys. Yeah, I guess ordering platforms like Mr. Yum and a bunch of other competitors out there are really changing the market space. And I know a fair few of you were in here previously and listened to Dean and Justin talk about some of the advantages of the platform. But I guess where I want to sort of show Mr. Yum as standing out is really the data insights that we get from the customers. So it's not just the ordering component and obviously the increased revenue and things like that. It's actually knowing more about your customers and then what you can then do with that data post-visit, which is really the most powerful part of ordering platforms. Because previously you might have a table reservation, you might know one person out of 6 that were coming into a venue, but then post that, you really didn't have much other information. Whereas we can really drill down into what beers they're drinking, how often they're drinking, what their spend is like, and then once they walk out of the venue, giving you a platform with our CRM component to re-engage those customers and drive them back for future visits through loyalty, through driving them for off-prem sales. So we're doing a big promotion with Gauge Roads at the moment in WA, which is driving, once they come into the massive venue that is Gauge Roads over in WA, is then capturing that information, retargeting them with what are they going to do after that, and then go out and get them a 6-pack and give them a 10%, 20% offer. So that's where really I think we stand out versus a lot of the other competitors out there. So quick intro, I guess, who is Mr. Yum? We've been around for over 3 years now, started pre-COVID. Originally started as with basically just a visual menu company. Our founders basically were like, we hate going to venues and having to go through Instagram to figure out what items I'm going to purchase from the menus and all of that sort of stuff. And then an original adopter of our platform was AVC. And they sort of got to the point where it's like, they're already looking at our menu. Why can't they just click a button and purchase? And we're like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So let's go and build that functionality. And that's pretty much where it snowballed from there. Post that, it was obviously the restricted trade with COVID and contactless menus and all of that sort of stuff, which actually helped us with the adoption of QR codes, but then obviously the adoption of contactless menus and people wanting to have that experience without that face-to-face interaction. We're still having some of that at the moment with obviously the returning to normality, but having a lot of restrictions with staffing and finding good quality staff. Because a lot of those sort of lifetime hospo people left during COVID and picked up jobs at Bunnings and wherever else where they could get guaranteed hours. So we're getting staff coming back into the hospo, which I'm sure you're all aware of it, but they're all of that junior staff members. So this is obviously where the platform can help with some of that capturing and enhancing the customer experience and doing, I guess, what Dean talked about is training your staff members to maybe be runners versus being that face of the venue and driving that sort of customer experience as much. And then obviously the future state, personalizing the data. That's really where I think our platform stands out versus the others. And that's really what I wanted to sort of showcase today. Talking about data insights, we've got a polling data in here, which will go through what customers, I think it was 2,000 people we took a poll on of what they actually experience in hospo venues, what brings them back, what deters them, all of those sorts of things. But it's really all about that future state of where the hospitality industry is going to be. And really data is at the forefront of that. In the brewery space, obviously there's still lots to come. We know staff shortages there, as I just talked about. We don't want to take away staff out of the conversation. We value staff being involved in Mr. Yum. We're actually about to launch an app now, which is a staff-facing app to get them more involved in the communication. But we know once they obviously get to and have that conversation with the staff, they're going to come back for those second and third beers based on the conversations they might have had for that first experience at the bar. But when they look at the bar, they see a line there, they're just like, shit, I know I want the beer that I just got. Like, it was amazing. They're just going to click and order. They're already a quarter of the bottom at their beer at the moment. They're going to get another one straight away. Versus drink that, go and line up for 10 minutes at the bar. You're going to get that second, third, fourth drink purchase out of those customers every single time, which obviously that's an extra $10 to $20 per customer just by giving them the advantage of knowing what they want to purchase and allowing them to do it easier through the table ordering. Data revolution, obviously independent breweries are fighting for landscape in the market. You've got your big guys out there obviously going crazy, but now it's really what we want to give you guys that data. So all of the data that a Mr. Yum platform collects is all your data. We give it to you on a silver platter and allow you to do what you want to do with it. But it's now not just knowing, cool, we had a few people come in and we made this much money. It's we know exactly who came in, what they purchased, how many times they purchased. What are we going to do to get them to come back for future visits, or obviously to drive off-prem sales, which is something that a lot of other platforms can't do. And I guess that obviously comes into working with you. The data is your data. We want to help you drive more customers to come in. Obviously, the busier you are, the busier we are. So it's a win-win. But it's allowing you to really target those customers post-visit through those insights that obviously get you the maximum. Here's some of our obviously supported partners at the moment in independent brewery space. So Gage Roads, Atomic, Your Mates, Hawks. We've got a range of them. We're talking to more and more of them every day. We love working with breweries. Obviously, I'm a beer fan, so I'm always all about it, but a lot of our team are. So we want to obviously really deep dive in this space and give you the power. And with the first sort of cab off the rank at the moment is an experience that we're doing with Gage Roads, as I said, driving off-prem sales, because realistically, that's where 70-80% of your sales do come from. So we want to allow that and use the information that we can get in venue to drive post-visit off-prem sales. I'll touch on this one now. This is our testimonial from Hawks Brewing. I'll get the guys to flick it over for me.
So we've had Mr. Yum from day one of operating our business. So we don't know our business without Mr. Yum. It's been crucial for us. It allows us to give a better service to customers by not taking up time with the ordering and taking time to discuss how their food is and how their day is, and having more of a connection with them in that space. Mr. Yum has taken away some of the requirements you have of how to order, how to pay, and freed up a bit of time for service. So you don't have to go to the bar if it's heaving, just sit where you are, relax, order through that. If we were doing all of those orders with either someone going to bar to put in those orders or going to a point of sale system to put in those orders, we would definitely slow service considerably. And I don't think it would be a nice situation for people that would be in queues for a lot longer. At this point, they just sit and they wait, and they're with their family or friends, and they can have a chat while they wait instead of one person queuing up, one person holding the table, whatever it may be. So I think it absolutely improves customer service, but I think that experience for the customer is that they don't have to do that much. It's very easy. They pay on their phone, so they don't have to worry about what we've got, bringing things up. It's all very simple on the table. It's given us more data that we can rely on. So we're able to see what people are ordering, when they're ordering, how long from when we sit them down to them putting in their order. We can start tracking those sorts of things and start thinking about, well, how do we make sure the customers got the best service in that space? If they're wanting a drink first, should we get them at their table quickly so they can order there? Or should we get them to go into the bar? And it just gives us a little bit more information to make some of those educated decisions on how we flow our customers through our venue. I used the chat just the other day as I was adding something new in, which I hadn't done before. And it's somebody, it's not a bot on the other side. And those sorts of things are really important, because when you're in the middle of service and suddenly the chef tells you to change something, you can't be off the floor calling someone, waiting in a queue, waiting to try and get that done. You need to be able to do it yourself really quickly. There's a few things that I really like about Mr. Yum. One, that tracking of orders. If I look at a table and go, have they ordered, without having to go over and ask anyone, I can just check. That makes my day really easy when it's heaving busy and I need to know when I have to turn tables over.
So obviously she talked about the uptake and how they're adopting the system. It does take a little bit of a change in sequence of service when you do look at an ordering solution. Like the guys at Felon said, when they initially launched Felons, they had an 18-minute wait for drink orders, which is a horrible customer experience. So there is that little shift within the business, but once you get that down, it actually enhances the customer experience. It allows you to increase your revenue. Maybe not reduce the staff, as they mentioned, or at least maybe have those lower, experienced staff members be able to handle more tables through the running versus actually being full waiters. But it really does allow you to just know more about your customers and what they're doing in venue. What a partnership looks like, it's obviously working closely. We work closely with our customers, with our venues to really drive more engagement. Because obviously, Mr. Yum platform is not a monthly subscription or anything like that. We just have a percentage per transaction. So if you're not making money, you're not putting orders through the system, either are we. So it is really a solid partnership to drive more sales through the venue, and obviously to drive more customers to come back. So obviously we love referrals. We love you guys to talk to your venues nearby, other breweries, all that sort of stuff. We have ambassador programs, so then you've got referrals when you are obviously supplying other bars with your products. If you refer them to Mr. Yum, there's referral schemes, all of that sort of stuff. It really is about a full partner activation when we do adopt the system. And then obviously sponsored events, because we know within the menu, and I'll go through that in a second, where positioning in the menu can make a huge difference in customer interaction. The top 5 items sell 3 to 4 times more than the lower items, and all of those sorts of things. So then we know how we can fluctuate and change the customer behavior with just positioning and imagery within the menu. So then for your venues that you're obviously supporting, we can actually make sure your products are at the top of those lists. So then you're getting more of those on-prem sales. All of those sorts of things are able to be done through Mr. Yum versus having paper menus or customers coming to the bar and making their own choices. A little scary, but there's some great insights I'll touch on in a second that really gives you a lot of power in the menu. So why use digital ordering? 20 to 40% higher spend. So we know that when customers are using Mr. Yum, they will spend more money. That's through upsells, cross-sells, all of those little bits and pieces. I know you're probably like me and you use Uber way too much. I always click 3 or 4 more items than I ever expected when I went onto that menu, just because it's there, I've got visuals, and I'm just like, yeah, well, I'm here way as well. That's exactly how this menu works. We know positioning and the popular tag. That popular tag is absolutely controlled by the venues. So we have AI in the menu that can promote items and cross-sell based on actual AI experience of what's being sold at the venue. But that popular tag is a little toggle in the back end, so you get to promote the products that you want to sell, either the higher margin ones or the ones that you just need to get out the door. But the top 3 to 4% of items, or only about 3 or 4% of items actually have that popular tag, but they get sold over 20% more times by having that tag. Imagery, we know an item with an image sells 2 to 3 times more than an image with a product without an image. Positioning, as I mentioned to you, the top 5% of menu items get sold 250 times more than the rest. So that's huge. When those 5% of items can be controlled and changed on a daily basis by yourself, it makes a big difference to your bottom line. Tipping, staff tips is a huge product upsell within the product. It's a touch of a button to add that tipping on, and it makes a big difference to your staff adopting the platform as well, because obviously a lot of staff feel it's, I'm going to lose my job if you bring in a table ordering system. Like, we don't want that at all. We want the staff to be fully involved, and we want the staff to become more of a host than a waiter. It's, hey, welcome to the venue. Here's our story. Here's how you place your orders. Give me a shout if you need. Like, I'm here to help you. Versus there's a QR, see you later. Big customer difference, but makes a huge difference in the adoption of the product. And obviously the adoption of the product only increases your bottom line, the data that you collect. So there's advantages in getting your staff on board with Mr. Yum. And then we know with this one, beverage upsells. So when you do have a beer or a product as a drink sold on top of a food item, it actually increases your bottom dollar by 12% by having those cross sells onto drink purchases on food items. Here's some data that we collected from Polefish. So as I said, I think it was about 2,000 or so people that we went through. But 8 in 10 people will order second drink. 55% of people will purchase a premium spirit over a house spirit. And that's purely by actually knowing the price point. I'm a big spice rum fan, and I'll always go to the bar and just ask for the house, because I'm always nervous about asking what's the price of that one on the back shelf, and maybe it's $15. Probably not tonight. After a couple more, maybe yes. But it's just knowing those price differences, and obviously also about promoting pints over middies, and all of those sorts of small little adjustments make a big difference. 7 in 10 people will order a side dish when suggested. So this is that cross-sell opportunity to increase that revenue. 44% will select a suggested beverage pair. So that's where you can actually go down to a product level and select what would be a recommended upsell on those. And we've had some venues go super granular and pairing wines with certain fish and steak and all of that sort of stuff. But we know if it's there and it's shown to a customer, there's a high likelihood they're going to click and purchase. 7 in 10 people said they would consider using an order at pay solution. And 3 in 4 of those people would prefer to order at table. So some big insights there when you really are looking at the customer behavior and the customer insights, not just me telling you what I think you want to hear. This is actually the customers telling us what they prefer. Talking about data, Wynyard Pavilion, a huge pub brewery down in Auckland, on the viaducts in Auckland, they had about 700 people in their sign-ups when they sort of started with Mr. Yum. Or prior to starting with Mr. Yum. Within a few months, their database grew by 4,000 people. So that's 4,000 more people that you can contact post-visit to drive them back in for future visits. So that's huge. So obviously we know the revenue of just general ordering is a massive impact, but that impact there goes for years that you sort of can't really see, but we all know data and databases are a huge value to a business. So within a few months, to grow it by that many is pretty crazy. Going into some more data stuff, survey results. In the past 6 months, 4 out of 10 people returned to the visit, or didn't want to return due to queuing for food or drinks, waiting for someone to take their order, or images not looking what they look like on a dish, on a menu. I'm sure all of us have been there before, sitting there waiting to order food, waiting to order a drink. You might go, you know what, I'm just going to go have a drink at home instead of getting an extra drink at the venue. So it's all of those little things that make a big impact to the customer experience, and where obviously Mr. Yum can help. 8 in 10 people would prefer to have a venue with outdoor seating, which is obviously an advantage for Queensland. Sorry if you guys down in Victoria. Wintertime a little bit different. And 5 in 10 of those people would actually look for a venue that has an order and pay solution. So the customer mentality is changing. Obviously, it's still early days. I think table ordering transactions take up only like 2-3% of total hospitality transactions. So like this much in the scheme of things, but it's also only been here for 2 to 3 years. So it is growing and growing, and this is where customers are now saying they would prefer to order that way versus having to wait for waiters, go up to the bar, line up, all of that sort of stuff. 45% of people would like to join a loyalty program. So this is once again driving repeat visits. 55% are likely to return if they get sent a 10% promo for the next visit, which is pretty simple. It's just knowing to send that message. 1 in 2 people will return if they're offered a loyalty program. And 50% of people would actually adopt that. We've got within Mr. Yum a free loyalty system. It's called Reward within Mr. Yum. So it does exactly this. Someone will purchase $100. At the end of their transaction, it would say, hey, you just earned 1,000 points. Do you want to get them? And it's about them getting those points 24 hours later. So it's not about giving them a discount on the next beer in that same visit. It's about driving them back for future visits. Because we know once they come back, and once they come 3 times, they're a fan, they're going to come back regularly. It's realistically about getting a customer to come back 3 times. We know that's the magic number. But but it's how do you get them to come back 3 times. We're not just about the youngies. We've got a lot of older demographic using the platform. So 30% are over 45 and 20% are 35 to 45. So it's not just about that sort of sub 30 category. We actually have a huge demographic in that older demographic. Your 67-year-olds, yes, they're going to have hesitations, but this is where that hosting experience comes into it. If it's how it's handled in venue to introduce the product to the customer. If you leave a QR and they go, here's your table, see you later, they're not going to adopt it. They're going to be scared. Whereas if your host goes, hey, this is how you order it. Have you used it before? Do you want me to help you? Let me grab your phone. Let me scan you. Let me show you how it is. That 2-minute spiel reduces all barriers, all blockers, and then that customer is like, sweet, I know how to do this. And then they'll come with their friends and go, hey, let me show you how to do this. Like, they love that. So it's really just about breaking those barriers down in that older demographic. And we hear this daily, that, oh, we have a slightly higher demographic and all that sort of. That doesn't mean anything. It's how it's adopted and how it's explained to customers, which really makes a difference. As I mentioned, we've got a bit of a first time trying to drive off-prem sales through a brewery. So Gage Roads over in Freo. We've partnered with them to issue 5,000 unique codes to customers post-visit to drive off-prem sales. In the first 2 weeks, over 50% of those codes have already been sent to customers. So that's a huge win. It's meant to go for 2 months, and I think it's not even going to go for a month with how many customers are adopting this and signing up to get those off-prem opportunities, which, as I said, we know 70-80% of your business is off-prem sales versus on-prem. So this is a real big advantage that we can give you to drive customers post-visit. Once they've experienced your range of products, had that tasting pattern, know exactly what beer they want, how do you get them to go and buy a 6-pack, buy a case after that? And this is where we can help. The average check obviously is a lot higher. I think with the Gage Roads guys, increase from 10% to over 15%, and upsell products brought in an extra 35,000 in revenue. So it's really just helping that bottom dollar for yourselves and driving those sales where you need them in those specific products, specific categories. Venues are quieter. You don't have 10 people deep at the bar. You've got 2 to 3 people deep, but everyone else is ordering at the table. And they might have gone and ordered at the bar for their first beer to look at the taps, have that chat with the brewer. Like, I'm all about that when I go to a brewery, but once I know which beer I'm pretty set with, I'm more than happy to get 2nd, 3rd, 10th drink if I'm there for a session at the table, because I've already had that experience through the brewery, and that's where we help. But we've also got descriptions, we've got content within the menu that can give them that engagement as well. But as I said, we're never going to be 100% of your sales. That's never going to happen. People are still going to want to go to the bar, want to have that customer interaction, but then it's driving that additional sales and that increase in revenue, which is where we're really going to help. And then the loyal following. So 30% of customers are returning, up to 25% of those since January. Email adoption, and then obviously a monthly draw for gift vouchers. So it's just engaging. I think the guys at Moffat were sort of talking about the 5 E's, I think it was: entice, engage. I missed half of it. But it's all about getting that information, engaging those customers, driving them back for future visits, and then the extension of their visits. It's keeping them nurtured within your database. It's having your scissors, paper, rock competitions or beer giveaways or keg giveaways, whatever it might be. It's really just knowing and having that information at your fingertips. Just 4 key takeaways today. Guest and digital engagement is huge. It obviously increases the percentage of guests for the option and is growing rapidly. Hospitality venues are seeing improved profitability in staffing efficiencies through digital menus. Marketing and customer insight opportunities for operators is huge, and still to be understood. Like, as I said, this is the first time we've done something with Gage Roads about driving off-prem sales. We want to do this more and more. So it's now that we've sort of got this framework, we'd love to work with our partners that we already have or any future partners to do exactly this sort of promotional activity. And then that sort of leads straight into it. It's driving off-prem. We know that's the key for your businesses. It's not the on-prem, it's the off. So we want to help drive that for you. And I think we've got the insights, we've got the data, we've got all the capabilities to do that. It's just a matter of connecting the dots. Thank you. Any questions? I think Jess is here with the microphone if anyone's got any questions or anything like that. Yep.
Oh, I'm pretty loud anyway, to be honest. Thank you. My question was more around, obviously I can see the value in like big venues. Do you have any insights on how this works in, say, smaller venues where, for example, like our brew pub, I can stand at the bar and see every single table and get there, you know, pretty sort of quickly. So yeah, I'm just curious on insights in smaller venues and how it works.
Yeah, so obviously Mr. Yum works across a huge range of venues. Cafes, small venues, we're in stadiums, we're in airports, we sort of cover all aspects. But even if you can see the customers, if you've got 2 or 3 people in front of you, you're not going to get that opportunity to go to that table. Or they might actually be ready to order that drink when they're a quarter of the way through, and then by the time they get to the bottom, they see the line and go, oh, too hard, I'm going to go just have that beer at home. So it's even just getting that single extra drink sale off every single customer. You think if you have 100 customers in a night and you get an extra $10 to $15 per customer, massive advantage. And it's just about having the option for the customer. It's not forcing the customer. You're never going to be able to force the customers to place every single order through there. It's just allowing the customer to make their choice. And as I said, if they're in a brew pub, they're having a great chat, they don't want to get up and waste 15 minutes at the bar to try and get an extra drink. They will sit there, scan, pay, and have the drink delivered to them and still be able to have that conversation or have that family that they can't walk away from the table. So it's not just for big venues. Yes, there's advantage of big, but it's for all venues, realistically. Our average numbers are 20 to 40% increase in average order value. And when the Mr. Yum platform is only 2% per transaction, you leaps and bounds ahead by having it there and having a 20, 30% adoption rate. Obviously felons, 60% plus adoption rate. It's just about allowing your customers to make that decision. Any other questions?
Yeah, just here.
Yep.
Is there capacity to do video?
Yeah, so we've got GIFs, not videos. So we've got the ability to have GIFs on there, so sort of small images that have some movement to them, but not full videos. And the reason behind that is it slows down the entire platform, so then it makes a bad customer experience. And that's why we don't allow videos. We do have the ability to drive customers. There's like an in-house marketing pop-up within our menu to then go to your website to maybe drive them to, here's our brewery story, here's a YouTube link, whatever. Like you can send them out and then they can come back. But within the platform, GIFs is as far as it goes, just because we know it slows down the entire customer experience if we allowed video content. I would love it, but GIFs is as far as we're going. Anyone else with any questions? Cool. Thank you, guys. I'll be here for another half an hour, so if you've got any other questions, please come up and give me a shout. I'm happy to run through anything with you, but thanks for your time.